Interviews. Probably for some people, the most scary thing ever, and for some people, it's really simple. But one mistake which I see, which is done by both of these parties, is that sometimes they make a lot of grammar mistakes. Now, if I'm going to teach you about interviews, I might as well dress for the part. Now, you can cut so that the next frame is me wearing this funky suit. There, now that I'm dressed for the part, let's get right into it. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, I've always told my followers and our students that grammar is not the most important thing when it comes to the English language. Then why the hell am I making this video? You tell me. I made this video because it's such an overlooked factor, because there are so many pre-recorded videos you can get online with these are the answers you should say in an interview. If they ask this question, you repeat it like a parrot. Now, this is true, sometimes it can help, but the main reason why grammar is super important is because, firstly, it makes you look like a much more confident speaker and makes you more articulate. The second one, it makes you look so much more professional and it shows the interviewer that you have very high attention to detail. The third one is that it shows them that you're an effective communicator, which, like it or not, it doesn't matter if you're interviewing for a teacher's position or if an engineer or as a doctor. If you can communicate with confidence and with clarity, then that's another feather on your hat. It's something which is really important. Now, getting into the main part of the video, I'm going to start teaching you the top 3 things that you should keep in mind. Now, of course, I can teach you what the past participle is or about subject-verb agreements and stuff and confuse you. But instead, I'm going to keep this as simple as possible so that you can understand and at the end, give you a few exercises that you can practice so that you can start doing this after this video itself. But while I say that, if you feel like there's anything you have learned from this video, and if you feel like we're worth it, then make sure to hit subscribe. Now, the most important point that I'm going to tell you is actually don't be too casual. I have interviewed in the past 3 years of my career at least 600 and 650. In my career, I've interviewed at least 600 to 700 teachers for Brightside English. I've met with so many owners, so many managers, and talked to a lot of human resource teams in various companies. And one thing which I've understood is you can be the most qualified person, you can be the most smart, the most talented, but the main issue arises when you're way too casual with the interviewer. Remember, they are not your friend. But Jonah, I've also heard that you should kind of have a casual talk with them in the beginning, right? Absolutely. 100% you should. You shouldn't sound robotic like you're sitting for an IAS interview or something. You need to make sure that you sit down, ask them a little bit, make small talk as often and as casual as possible. But you should make sure that once the interview round starts, you are the subject and they are the interviewer. Now, of course, this sounds like common sense, doesn't it? But you'd be surprised at how many teachers, very, very, very capable teachers that I've had to dismiss from interviews just because they were way too casual. Understand that you are not in this interview to become their friend. You are here to either get a job or to pass an examination. When you sit down and when you stand up, meaning the beginning and at the end of the interview, that is when you can be a little bit casual. But in between, that's not allowed at all. Now, what can you say, you must be asking yourself? Well, make sure that you are fluent in small talk. Asking them about the weather, if they had their breakfast, or how the temperature is, or how their day is going so far. Something which is super casual, just to make the entire call or the meeting a little bit more comfortable for both you and the interviewer. Point number 2 is actually to not screw up the grammar rules. Now, there are so many grammar rules, and I don't think that I can teach it to you in such a short video. In a nutshell, make sure that when you're using the simple past tense, when you're talking about something in the past that has completely finished, you only use ed. For example, if you had an interview last week and you want to tell this to the interviewer, you just need to say, I had an interview last week, or I was interviewed last week. Now, when you're using the present tense, you can talk about your current skills. For example, instead of saying that I am very skilled in XYZ skills, you can say I am proficient in MS Office. I am proficient in communication. Now, the next one, when you're talking about, for example, your future goals, always make sure to use the future tense. For example, you can say, my future goals would be to contribute to green pollution. What? For example, you can say, my future goals would be to make sure that pollution levels decrease. Or you could say, I wish that I could contribute more for this team. Now, keep it simple. The past perfect tense, or the present perfect tense, or the future perfect tense is sometimes a little bit difficult for Indians to generally understand, especially if you don't have practice. You can get practice with Brightside English one-on-one lessons, which is why I really suggest that you just stay away from it. Make sure that you only use the simple forms of these three tenses. Whenever you're saying something, make sure that you keep it simple. Don't try to confuse them. Don't try to look cool. Don't try to make them feel like you are amazing at English. Just make them feel like you are in this interview to talk to them using English to show just how valuable you are. Tip number 3, stop saying I. This is so annoying. When you have an interview with company, of course. Now this may seem really contraceptive. Now this may seem a little bit contradictory to what you think. You're supposed to say I when you're talking about yourself, isn't it? Now this can kind of seem true, and it is, but such a huge issue arises when there are so many people, interviewees, who just keep saying I a lot. For example, if I ask you, tell me a little bit about yourself. You'll start with, well, my name is Jonah, XYZ. I have done this. I studied here. I have these skills and stuff, right? Stop saying I a lot. It takes away from what the context of the entire answer should be. When you say I a lot in an answer like this, it starts to become about you instead of what it should be, which is the answer. For example, I'm going to give you 2 options right now. The first one is where I only use I a lot, and the second one is what it can sound like. So the first one would be, hi, my name is Jonah. I am the owner of Brightside English. I have over 50 tutors. I have created 3 courses for students to learn. I have an experience of more than 6 years teaching English. I live in Kochi, Kerala. Now that's example 1. The next one would be, hi, my name is Jonah. I am the owner of Brightside English. We have a team of 50 tutors, and through 6 years of experience, we have been able to create 3 courses that will be more than sufficient to satisfy the needs of Indian students. The company and myself are set up in India, specifically Kochi, Kerala. Notice the difference? The first answer was more about me, which is fine. But the second answer was more about me, of course, but also my company, my team, my skills, and where I'm from. The difference is really huge. So make sure that you use the following exercises to sound a little bit like this. Now let's get the obvious out of the way. The first tip which you can use is answer repeated questions a lot. What is your name? Tell me about yourself. Weaknesses, strengths. Why should I hire you? Tell me why I shouldn't hire you. Questions like this is something which I can't teach you because this is questions about you. Make sure you practice these questions and get them out the way. The next tip is where you put these questions into a notebook or in your laptop, and then you record yourself answering. And after you record it, when you watch the video, act as if you are the interviewer and this video is the interviewee. Will you hire this person? No. Write why you will not hire this person. Yes. Why will you hire this person? After you do this, you have just created an advantage-disadvantage list for you. Now the next one, if you have a friend or if you have anyone who actually can understand English and speak English with you, you need to practice this with them, where they ask you questions and you answer, and where you ask questions and they answer. But Jonah, why should I ask questions when I'm the one practicing? Because when you listen to other people talking, you will understand what mistakes they make, which will make you understand what mistakes you shouldn't make. So here we are, a few grammar tips which you should always make sure that you avoid. If you practice these things which I've told you, by yourself, you'll be able to start seeing changes in a fairly quick period of time. But if you want to speed up the process, then I suggest that you could check out our courses tab in our website. You can head on over to www.brightsideenglish.com and go to courses and book there. But apart from that, I'm taking this jacket off because I'm sweating my ass off. See you guys next time.